Hi, this is the Maverick artist Victor-Hugo reporting modern art gonzo journalism for the modern art music movement. It is January 16th, 2025, reporting from the former Soviet Union, Republic of Georgia, near the border with Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. My job is not to be politically correct. It is to witness, observe, analyze, and document the beautiful chaos that surrounds us all, so that future generations can understand how we got to this moment in time, where I am blessed to be joined by Albert, the remote viewer in Canada. How are you today, Albert?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, so listen, I'm really excited about having you on because some people in the audience may be familiar with Cliff High, and Cliff High works with remote viewers. Have you ever worked with Cliff High or any of the remote viewers that he works with?
I've heard the name on the Art Bell show. He's the one who does predictions and has like a AI sort of predictions?
Yeah. But he also works with remote viewers, and they have been able to sync up everything. Most recently, the prediction that he had about the attempted assassination with Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. Well, I am known in the remote viewing community. In 2006, I was at IRVA in Las Vegas, and I gave out a whole list of predictions then, with name, date, and place. Fukushima, BP oil spill, Tory Stafford, Russell Williams. And the parapsychologist, Dean Radin, he called Colonel John Alexander, who came, took a hard copy, and then nothing's prevented. They all just went into hiding. But the main thing would be the closest anyone came to a deathbed confession out of Ingo Swann, and he said 0 point energy is working, and that they film it for a DVD. I told the documentary crew they have to get this on camera, and they just walk away and didn't do anything about it. But I've made some notes on a scratch pad. Maybe if we go through it quickly, we get a summary of where this interview is going. So
can we, before we do that, just so that the public understands, can you explain what a remote viewer is to the people who are unfamiliar with that?
Well, the best way they would understand it is it's psychic ability. It's a frontal lobe activity, like your brain goes into hyperdrive, and then you're able to future see events. And mostly they would go for name, date, and place. And then Swann was able to compile all the stuff out of the literature for the last 6,000 years, and you consistently have the same thing. Just sort of make your mind still, just be still, and then a signal line comes out of the top of your head and connects to the matrix, which contains all information, and then he's able to download it with a paper and pencil. And he goes through like a 45-minute session where he set up like these protocols and stages. He starts by drawing an ideogram that gets him into an altered state, and then he draws sketches of what he's able to future see. And then at the end, he gets the feedback of how accurate he was, what he would call a hit.
Can you please explain to the audience who Swann is?
Well, his other moniker would be the father of remote viewing. In 1972, the CIA heard about the Russians having a psychic program. So they started looking for our own psychics, and they found Ingo Swann at 357 The Bowery in New York City. And then they paid for him to go to SRI, where Hal Puthoff was. And then they started the remote viewing program. They started working on, developing psychic talent. And then they recruited people from the military in it. That's when you get the guys, the Major Paul Smith, Ed Dames, and then, Phil High would be the next generation of where they get into this, and the parapsychologists. Swann is now deceased. But how I would come into it is it reverts back to reincarnation. So when I was a ghost, I'm looking for somewhere to get born. I was destined to be born at 357 The Bowery in New York City. The problem is Swann was in Korea, and he got injured. He was shot in the balls. He's unable to have children. So he got the Purple Heart, but he can't have any kids. So I end up being born in Toronto, and I meet him later, some 40 years later, at 2006, the remote viewing conference in Las Vegas, and you know, he would confirm this, but now he's deceased. The other person who would know something about this is Hal Puthoff and Jacques Vallée from SRI, Edgar Mitchell, but he's also deceased. But if his military record, it would show he did get the Purple Heart, and he was wounded in Korea. A sniper shot him like right in the balls. Shot his balls off.
Albert, can I ask you two things? First, there was a movie with George Clooney, The Men Who Talked to Goats, I think it was. Is that the name of the movie?
The Men Who
Yeah, The Men Who Stared at. Yeah, was Swann part of that program?
Yeah, that's what it's based on. They're portraying his life. The Hollywood version mashed a bunch of episodes together into one character. But yeah, that's the remote viewing we're talking about. And the part that's accurate is we really shouldn't get into like how hexes work and stuff like that. It's called The Men Who Stare at Goats because Swann was able to kill a goat just with his brain, like thinking, projecting onto the goat that it has a brain aneurysm. The goat just dropped dead. And when they did the autopsy, they believe it was from Swann hexing the goat. But
wow, so you're saying people can really put a hex on you for people who know hexes
yes,
more as like witches or some kind of voodoo where people will give you the evil eye or like do something like this. So you're saying people that have remote viewing have the capacity to put a hex on someone and actually kill them. Is that what you're saying?
I lost the sound at this end. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh, okay. I was saying, can you hear me now?
Hold on. I have a Bluetooth speaker. Maybe if I turn that off, it will work.
Okay. We're going to be right back here. We're with Albert, the remote viewer, and he's having technical difficulties on his side. For those who have not seen the George Clooney film, The Men Who Stared at Goats. So you were talking about putting hexes on people, and I was bringing that into the fold for some people who are watching and they know hexes as having to do with witchcraft and voodoo. You're saying this more has to do with mental ability?
Well, the way I've seen it work is when the person is in an emotionally disturbed state, then if they hex the person, then they will get trouble later on down the road. As this developed, when a reporter from the Globe and Mail came and started digging into my past, and she would be able to say something more about it than I would be willing to. The reporters are Robin Doolittle from the Globe and Mail, and unfortunately, when it went up to the editor, they refused to publish it for whatever. David Walmsley, the editor, said, "Well, all this is true, but the Globe and Mail doesn't write about UFOs." So they never end up publishing it. But she would still be one of the best witnesses who actually documented this. And at one point, she interviews Paul Smith from the events that happened in 2006.
You're going to get into the events that happened in 2006. Did you see a movie called Scanners, where a guy uses his mental capacity and he actually blows up the guy's head? Have you seen that movie, Scanners?
Scanners. Oh, no, I don't think I've seen it. But yeah, Hollywood is on the right track. There is, and part of the way why people don't develop it more is because they want to, you don't want people going around hexing everyone else. There's a lot of emotionally disturbed people out there, and if they realize that if you just get into that zone, you'd be able to harm your enemy, and there's nothing the police can do about it, we have like a whole increase in people hexing other people.
Well, okay, and I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'll shut up and let you fly. You said that you were reincarnated into Swann, but that you met Swann 40 years after your birth. So how can you be reincarnated into somebody who's still alive?
No, you misunderstood. I reincarnated in Toronto. I was meant to be born in New York as Ingo Swann's son. I was destined to be
Okay.
reincarnated as a son. But that
Gotcha.
that couldn't happen because he got wounded in Korea. And
So then, but then check this out. If you said you were destined to be that way, then he wouldn't have gotten his balls shot, and you would have been that way. So what happened in the Matrix? Like there was a glitch in the Matrix. How do you explain that?
yeah, bad luck. Yeah, a glitch in the Matrix. And the other thing, like I said, it's generational. One of Swann's goals is he wanted to break the cycle of reincarnation. But the out they're giving you is the level above human. There's another planet where they got the 0 point energy from, and it's better there than here. They have flying cars, free energy, and his intention was to get born there. And you're quizzed on you have to pass a Bible test. Lucifer, the devil, Satan, he will ask you, who did you help? And then you have your full life review. But it's as it turns out, the Bible bashers were right all along, the religious fanatics. It is about how well you understand the Bible. If he was able to pass the Bible test, he would have reincarnated on the other planet, a level above human. And that's where they have 0 point energy, flying cars, free energy. Everyone there was psychic. They used telepathy instead of Skype. And he had the misfortune of ending back up in New York City. But you're not born a blank slate, tabula rasa. He maintained this knowledge of being psychic, and he, I guess it's in a way a curse and a blessing. The devil's god of this world. He knew it is the vast Luciferian conspiracy. So Swann knew about 9/11 in 1972, but who's he going to report it to? It's inside the White House at 1600 Pennsylvania. The devil himself meets in the basement of the White House with 12 men sitting around the table. At least 2 of them. One was Lawrence Rockefeller. All the paperwork is in front of him. He signs his name to it. Spray chemtrails in the air, signed Lawrence Rockefeller. Jimmy Carter will be the next president, signed Lawrence Rockefeller. And the devil is standing over his shoulder watching him sign this. When they had that meeting, the purpose of the meeting was to impeach Richard Nixon. And Nixon was sitting at the other end of the table. The person at the other head of the table hands him a handkerchief. He's wiping the sweat from his brow. And then Lucifer said, "You won't know when, you won't know how, but we will impeach you." And then Nixon's just wiping all the sweat from his brow. And then they go into their minutes, and Rockefeller starts signing papers that are filed away somewhere in the White House. But Nixon, the real reason he's impeached is because he wanted to assassinate Lawrence Rockefeller. Standing in outer space, Lucifer looks down and watches what they're doing. He flew down right through the roof of the White House, lands in the hallway, and 2 aliens in white tuxedos with the black Hoffman lenses. They're sitting on his left and right-hand side. One of them jumped up, opened the door for him, pulled out the seat for him, and then they started the meeting. But this is divine intervention, except Lucifer's doing it. Nixon would have been able to assassinate Rockefeller with assassins from the CIA, but Lucifer directly flew down from outer space and intervened and prevented it. He was protecting his guy Rockefeller, and he could read Nixon's mind from outer space. So this we're at a huge disadvantage. Like putting on a tinfoil hat isn't going to prevent that. He knows everything you do before you're even born. Why I'm able to see it is, like I said, I was going to be born in New York as Ingo Swann's son. Rockefeller, after the meeting, he starts making phone calls to impeach Nixon with Watergate. It's Ingo Swann the phone call goes to. He puts on his cap from Korea. He goes in the Watergate hotel and bugs the phone. And then, later on, Nixon ends up getting impeached. But Swann gets away clean. Why G. Gordon Liddy takes the blame for this and things like that, I don't know. But it was Ingo Swann gets a call. He was CIA at that time, that went from Rockefeller through the chain of command to have Swann go operational and get Nixon impeached. So that's how I got to.
You spoke to Swann at a conference. Yeah. Speak with about this? Did he confirm this?
Yes, yes. And like I was saying,
Oh,
they
really?
at the conference they film it for a DVD, and I told those guys, you got to film what Swann is saying here, get a deathbed confession out of him. He's not lying now, and no one wanted to do it. One of the reasons they were all scared of John Alexander. Before 2006, I gave out in hard copy. I went to the Las Vegas and gave out to the speakers. It was Fukushima, BP oil spill, and the Tory Stafford. And then Dean Radin calls John Alexander, and then everyone gets scared. Paul Smith goes into hiding. He should have taken the lead role and tried to do something about this, but they all chicken out, and all of them are scared of Alexander. But Swann,
who's Alexander?
so he was also involved with the remote viewing program, is Colonel John Alexander, and he also goes by the Pentagon Penguin. They've interviewed him on the Art Bell show, and he's joined at the hip with Robert Bigelow. He say he's retired now. He's still alive, but he was works at the Pentagon, and he's one of the people who implemented and executed 9/11. As I said, Swann can future see. The second thing that kept the remote viewing program going is that Swann warned about 9/11. On the same day that Puthoff and Targ are in Congress, they separate. Puthoff goes to the smoky back room and warns the senators that 9/11 is coming. And then the head senator says, we're going to have to fund the remote viewing program now. Then he comes out and joins Russell Targ, and they start asking, well, how's your results going for psychic ability? And then Targ is like, yeah, we're about 60%, but that's way above average. But they really kept it open because Swann warned about 9/11. Puthoff wanted to put a scene in a Hollywood movie showing 9/11 before it happens, like in 1990. And then it's Alexander again who stops Puthoff and Swann from being whistleblowers, from doing anything more. And this is why I thought it's another important point. Satan, he needs a minion to work through. Like they leave Puthoff alive because they need him to reverse engineer the 0-point energy so they don't assassinate him. But in every case, they're always working through a human agent. You know, he always needs a minion. Rockefeller, he needed to be there to do the work he wanted done. And it's the same with Puthoff. They get a textbook on 0-point energy from Apollo 14, the Edgar Mitchell Ingo Swann ESP experiment. That goes to Puthoff and Valet at SRI, and then they form a group called the Avery, which starts to reverse engineer the 0-point energy. And as I said, the main point of doing these interviews is to put 0-point energy into the public domain. So it's bound to happen. It's just a matter of time. Eventually, it's going to break. And that brings good back into the world and leaves a post-generational impact. So I'm saying the 0-point energy is working now, and it's the same suspects. Bigelow and Alexander are suppressing it, rogue elements in the U.S. government. And one step forward would be to get the deathbed confession out of Hal Puthoff. Puthoff is still alive, but he's going on close his late 80s. He's elderly. And Jacques Vallée would be the other witness. And about 9/11, Major Ed Dames didn't know about 9/11, but you know, it's the same situation. They just clam up. They don't want to say anything. All of them are scared of Alexander. And then, of course, it would be Alexander's not working alone. He's part of the vast Luciferian conspiracy.
Wow. So a lot of things to touch on there. First, when you say these things, do you hang out with other remote viewers? Like I'll give you, for example, I'm not good at parties because when I go to parties, I sound like you. So right off the bat, everybody's eyes like roll to the back of their heads and they're like, wow, this guy's crazy, you know? So do you get the same thing? Do you have a girlfriend? Like, what does your girlfriend think about all this? Like, what's it like to be you and have all this knowledge that you have that most people think is just completely bonkers?
Well, yeah, you exactly hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I'm a black sheep. They ghosted me. So the next generation of remote viewing experiments happens at Ryerson University. I'm a undergrad. It's a media production program. And in my class, at least 5 women manifested superpowers from being in the same room as me. Shauna is psychic. Halen is strong. She can pick up a car. Maya manifested gold coins. Ramona can fly and shapeshift. And the main one, who we should vardir, is Colleen. She was UAP abducted, went all the way to the other planet, had her own flying car that runs on free energy. When she came back, she had telepathy. And Ramona calls the Globe and Mail. A reporter comes, Robin Doolittle, the same reporter who chased after Rob Ford when he was mayor of Toronto and got caught with crack cocaine. She comes to Ryerson. She's also alumni of Ryerson. Her journalism degree is from Ryerson. But in Ramona's office, they put all of these women, and Robin interviews all of them, gets a statement out of them. All the witnesses are honest, give the same account as mine. And then the editor of the Globe and Mail, David Walmsley, said, well, this is all true, but the Globe doesn't write about UFOs, and so they don't publish it. But the next thing that happens, besides these women ghosting me, and as you said, I'm just a black sheep, the review into MacArthur, a citizen's review into police negligence. In 2013, like I said, Shauna is psychic. And for 45 minutes, we sat down and we did a remote viewing session. And we come up with name, date, and place of the 3 events in France: Bataclan Theater, Charlie Hebdo, Bastille Day, Pulse nightclub, and then the 3 events in Toronto: Incel, Danforth, MacArthur. The Epstein report, the civilians review, is into why police did not arrest MacArthur. The lead lawyer, his name is Sandler, he does an honest investigation. While he's investigating, he finds all these warnings I sent to the police, which they're frantically trying to destroy the evidence. The review calls me, come into the office, give a statement. During my statement, they record a new set of audio predictions: the coronavirus, Ukraine Jet 752, Kobe Bryant, and Gabriel Wortman, with name, date, and place. Nothing prevented. And then when the Epstein report comes out, they completely censor it, like I was never even there. Just person non grata. And this is a civilians review. They're required to be true, honest, transparent, and accountable. They're not allowed to lie. And this is lying by omission. So then I phoned Sandler's office, and I said, put all the audio tapes on YouTube, release everything you did in the investigation. He said, wait, the board owns the audio tapes, not Mark Sandler. Complain at the board, not Sandler's office. And then, he hung up the phone on me, and now they're going into retirement. And they, took off with the $5 million they built the city. But that's where it involves the police. So the police in Toronto, they allow you to give a 5-minute deputation. At least a dozen times I got in for the 5 minutes and complained at the board. And that would be Mayor John Tory, the chief of police. Now it's a person named Myron Demkew. They have a Crown prosecutor on there, Ann Morgan. They have a number of city councilors on there, Shelley Carroll. And all of them just shrug their shoulders and don't do anything. And I said, you have to recall the review and make these audio tapes public, and no one will do anything. And one of the best paths forward, like I said, is to cross-examine these witnesses from Ryerson. And the review actually does that. Mark Sandler does the honest investigation. He subpoenas Ryerson, and he subpoenas the reporters. It's on audio tape. All of them are honest witnesses and give the same account as mine. And then Epstein goes and censors all of this. And
well, that's gotta be really tough, because you see the future. You don't know with 100% certainty that any of these things are going to happen. You're trying to warn people about it, and they think you're a complete kook. So let me ask you this. Would you be able to do a remote viewing now here? How long does it take? Could you go into a trance or whatever, and then kind of look into what, because there's a lot of people right now, I'm sure you could sense this. I could sense it. I'm hearing it from a lot of people that I interview from around the world, that the frequency is very low right now. People are scared. people are sensing that something very bad is about to happen, something that will not only impact the lives of the normies, but also the lives of the people at the highest levels that think they're immune to this. Are you sensing this? What's your seeing? And like I said, can I, if I shut up, allow you to remote view and kind of give us a prediction right now?
Well, see, the funny thing is that when I was doing it, I always had a partner. Like at one time, Ramona Pringle was an RV monitor, where she wrote down the predictions in her notebook. Robin Doolittle, the reporter, was a monitor, where she came up with a set of predictions. And when I was at the review, they had a female lawyer there named Naz. And I sort of have a theory on how it works. Like, you're trying to get your amygdala to go forward in your frontal lobes and get in that altered state when you're in the zone. And then you're able to come up with a good set of predictions. But I think part of it is that the sexual energy from your bottom chakra was going up your spinal cord and then pushing your amygdala forward. And like I said, I've always had a woman helping me as a monitor when I did these sessions. And I can't find anyone who wants to cooperate and do this. Ramona and Robin chicken out and just clam up and don't want to help. And so then they had the same.
If you and I tried doing it right now, would that make us gay or something? Because I want to help you, but I don't want to end up getting an erection or having you get an erection. That would be totally gay. So can you and I do that without having to have or do we require sexual energy in order to be able to get the amygdala? I'm being serious because I'd like to test this out. I'd like to see if you would do this, but if it's gay, I don't want to do it.
I think we need the sexual energy, but one of the big things that are coming, where you said it would be like, the ELE, the extinction level event. It's the UAP. They're going to give the UAP disclosure for sure, because Congress is going around in circles, and they won't shut it down. They have the evidence in front of them, and then it just keeps getting quashed. And then they breathe life back into it, and they're still going around in Congress, ARROW, the All Anomalies Research Office, Resolution Office. So one of the big things that's coming, never mind the coronavirus, it will be the UAP disclosure. That's going to be a big thing. There's a movie that just came out recently.
Can you describe UAP for people who are not familiar with that? That essentially is an unidentified flying object, but they've changed the name to UAP. What does UAP stand for?
Right. Well, yeah, it was unidentified aerial phenomena. Yeah, that's for certain. It's there, and they had the drone flap over New Jersey, but that's just a small thing. But like I said, the 0 point energy is going to break. It's bound to happen. It's just a matter of time. And part of the future seeing, what I did with Ramona, we saw that flying cars were lifting up off of Yonge Street and flying off on 0 point energy. So I don't know when.
Were you there? You saw Ramona do that?
From future seeing, from a remote viewing session. But I don't know when and I don't know how, but eventually it's going to break. And like higher powers are involved.
Yeah. Because this reminds me, I just spoke to Stephen Kelly. I don't know if you're familiar with Stephen Kelly, but he also is a remote viewer, and he says things that happen, that he's fighting a battle in another dimension through his alter ego that he calls Rambo, and he's fighting these demons in another dimension. And so, okay, now I see what you're saying. So when you saw that one woman manifest gold, and you saw the other woman, what did she do? She did something funky. But these were remote viewers.
Halen has superhuman strength.
But she did this while you were remote viewing, not actually in front of you, like on the street. So I see what you're saying. So this is like an interdimensional thing, and you're saying that we have our body here on Earth, but we also exist in other dimensions, and you're able to cross over to those dimensions when you are able to have that chakra go to this level, and then you, oh, okay, now I get it. All right. I'm glad we
Right.
explained that, because some people are thinking, okay, this guy's full of crap, women lifting cars and flying around. It's happening here, and here
No,
you're going somewhere else.
the woman did manifest the superpowers. So a person is fractured. Like when I reincarnated, your higher self in outer space, and then you split in two. Lucifer fractures you. Your conscious falls in the womb of a woman, and you get born, but your higher self stays in outer space. So the people at like the Monroe Institute, when they're saying they want to have an out of body experience, well, you're out of body all the time. The idea would be to integrate it back together, where your higher self would come back into your body. You're not trying to go out of body. You're trying to get your higher self to come back in, and that's how you get the signal line on your head. And Swann is retrieving information from the matrix. But no, these women, you can side test Shauna now. She's psychic now. I would do the remote viewing session with her. That's how we came up with the 2013 France information. Halen can pick up a car now. You should strength test her. You should side test Shauna. You should strength test Halen. That actually happened, and not in my imagination. Why they were in the same room as me, a Kundalini spark started in their lower chakra. Then it traveled up, Kundalini rising. All of their chakras opened inside their body, 7 chakras, and it manifested different things in their body. Like they had anomalous human experience. For Shauna, her third eye popped out. She pushed it back in with her thumb, but she's still psychic. For Halen, she developed superhuman strengths. And Ramona can fly, like her feet are wings, and she can like shapeshift. Colleen was UAP abducted, and it's Maya who had manifested gold coins. But
Holy cow! Hold on, Albert. This is sounding very kinky. So you're in a room with these women, right? And it's just you. You're the only guy in a room with all these women, and these women are having like their chakras, their lower. So like, are they having orgasms and stuff? Are they moaning while this is happening? Because this all sounds very exciting. I mean, I'm being serious, because I mean, if I'm in a room and there's a bunch of girls and like they're able to lift cars and all this stuff, and you said there was like it was burning down there, burning sensation. That sounds to me like she's having a sexual experience. Is that what it was like, or no?
That's part of the theory. That's how it started. She didn't have an orgasm, but the energy went from her lower chakra to her second one, and then it kept going all the way up to her crown chakra, and all her chakras opened up. And then you see that double helix wrapped around through their spinal cord, and it starts vibrating and pulsating. A cord from their spinal cord shot down to the center of the earth and grounded them so they could not move. And then the other signal line comes out from the top of their head and connects to the matrix and was downloading information. And then like every woman was a unique creative person. So for whatever reason, Halen stopped at her chakra that's responsible for strength, and she's strong. But for Shauna, she was more interested in the chakra that opens, ESP, telepathy. Her third eye started pulsating, and she's psychic. And you can see, like, their chakras, right, you can see right through their body, their chakras glowing and vibrating and pulsating. And then there's a cord, one grounding them to the center of the earth, a silver cord, and then another cord going out from the top of their head into outer space, connecting to their matrix, which I think would connect to their higher self. And then their body started evolving, like they developed what they focused on.
Albert, this actually sounds a little bit frightening for some people. I mean, were you scared when you were witnessing this? Because, I mean, I've met some women, and they've done some pretty strange things, but nothing ever like that. I don't know how I would react if I saw a woman, especially multiple women in a room doing that. I would, me personally, I'd be a little bit frightened, but you were not.
Well, I've done it so many times. I have some idea of the process, but yeah, the women were frightened, but now, they're they would make a good witness. They should be they should be cross-examined. And this is the part where it's frustrating. Like I said, the Review knows all about this and cross-examined Ryerson, and then they go and censor the report. And when Colleen was abducted, the police came out. Someone went and called the police, but then all these witnesses just climb up and they don't say anything. And then the reporter, like I said, the furthest it went was from Ramona Pringle and Robin Doolittle. They put all these women in a room, and then the reporter interviews them. That would be some of the best evidence. And then the editor doesn't want to publish it. And another reason why the editor doesn't want to publish it is because they knew about Bataclan Theater in 2013. This happened, and nothing in France is prevented. So the editor now, the same as the police, they want to have a blue wall of silence. He doesn't want to admit, oh yeah, all the victims were alive at the time he had these warnings. They don't bother to get the police to do anything. A victim, Andrew Kinsman, 71 Winchester Street, it says right in the warning we came up with Shauna, Andrew Kinsman, 71 Winchester Street, will be throttled by Bruce MacArthur, the serial killer. And this went to the Globe and Mail and the police, and they don't do anything. Kinsman ends up dead. They could have arrested MacArthur right then and there, and the victims would still be alive. And so now,
wow, you're because this is starting to happen now, by the way, with artificial intelligence. They're doing thought crimes. So I see what you're saying, and that's why it's conflicting, because now what you are doing with the chakras and the brain, artificial intelligence is doing, and it's having predictive behavior. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Florida, they arrested a guy because they suspected that he was going to commit some crimes. And the case was thrown out because, I mean, really, if that's the case, then people who have vendettas against others, or like, let's say your ex-wife or something, she could say, oh, I believe my husband's gonna, I don't know, assassinate the president. So then the police would show up and arrest you because your ex-wife wants to get you thrown in jail. This is a very, very difficult situation because, like I said, if you're predicting this, maybe they'll believe you, but even if they believe you, what are they gonna do? Arrest somebody, you know? I mean, they're not even arresting Anthony Fauci or Biden or Hillary Clinton, people that they pretty much have enough evidence on to say, wow, these people are crooks, if not killers.
Hold on, the speaker went out again for some reason.
Okay. So yeah, for those of you watching, I'm speaking to Albert, the remote viewer, and he is teaching me, and hopefully you, the audience, some very funky things. And a lot of you guys sometimes get upset at me because I have all sorts of interesting guests, but that's the purpose of this show, so that we learn new things from people who have experienced this and who are not afraid to come forward and share their experiences. So I thank you very much, Albert, for having the courage to come on and talk about these things. Now let's get to the free energy, because I also suspect that that is something that's going to happen. And I think that it was predictive programming with all these unidentified flying objects, UAPs, orbs, and these drones that people have been seeing. They're starting to realize that this technology has existed for a very long time, but it's been suppressed. And I do agree with you that once this technology is made available to people, it will be a better world. It will actually help to solve world hunger, fuel the whole climate change hoax that they're complaining about, and it'll allow people a better life. They're suppressing this because they want to keep us enslaved. But you're saying that somehow we're going to break through this matrix? How do you see this happening? Personally, from what I'm seeing, there's too much cowardice, there's too much fear, and there's an amazing amount of division, not only in the United States, but also amongst, and I'm experiencing it right now, unfortunately, the division in the alternative news media. So nobody knows who to believe or who to trust. How do we get over this?
Well, so for my case, like I said, these 5 women are witnesses. We should put them all in one room and let them talk. So Colleen Durkach was on another planet where she had her own flying car that runs on free energy. When she came back, she had telepathy. Robin Doolittle from the Globe and Mail got a confession out of her, then it's quashed down by David Walmsley, the editor. But Ryerson has quasi-judicial powers. They're able to hold a hearing where they can subpoena all these women and get a statement out of them again. And I've been trying to get Ryerson to do that, but they're just stalling. Nothing happens. And like I said, from the review,
what's the point of making this happen? And if you can get them to come on the show, I'd be willing to have them on as a guest on the show, and they can all speak. But I want to focus more, after you answer why it is so important that we get their testimony. How would that benefit? Then I want to stay focused on you, because the audience hearing you talk about 5 other women, that's all hearsay. I want to hear about your experience and what you have to say. But first, if you can answer, what's the big deal about getting their testimony?
So Colleen knows how zero-point energy works. Instead of being an English professor at Ryerson, she should be in a room with our own scientists and, building this technology so we could switch off of oil. So she has this vast amount of knowledge that you can't even imagine. You can't even make up. After Robin interviewed her, she said, you should hear what she's saying. You cannot make this up. And, it's things you can't even guess at. She probably does know the cure of cancer. And then for her own reasons, Colleen has clammed up. She's now a hostile witness. She doesn't want to, after Walmsley quashed it down, she's just clammed up, and all of them just went into hiding and don't want to say anything. The other best witness would be Ramona Pringle, the RTA professor who also had anomalous human experience. But like I said, you can strength test Halen and psychic test Shauna, and then that adds a whole new dimension of what it means to be a human being. The human species are psychic. These events are reproducible. So not just Halen is strong, anyone can become strong. And that would, open a whole new field of parapsychology, which for the last 6,000 years has been shunned and constantly suppressed. And people accusing guys of Swann of being, left-handed and associated with the devil. And then Western material medica has no idea that there's 7 chakras in our body. They have no idea how to heal cancer. And then you could reproduce the miracles. Like I don't want to quote the Bible so much, but as it turns out, if it gets documented that these women did have these experiences, the whole field of parapsychology would open up, and Western material medica would have to admit, we're wrong. We have no idea what we're doing with x-rays, but this is the direction to go in. The next step forward would be telepathy. And that's, everyone has that dormant in their frontal lobes. So, and this is what Colleen would have to confess to. When she was on the other planet, her telepathy turned on, and she's a human woman. And on this other planet, they all look human. They would pass for human here. They 5 fingers, 5 toes, the same height and weight. You could sit on a subway with someone from the other planet, and you wouldn't even notice. They're exactly like us, except their psychic ability is developed more. And so what if the police scared her or what happened there? Colleen just clams up. But the reporter who was trying to do something and did the most about this is Robin Doolittle. And then, like I'm saying, I have witnesses up to my eyeball. From the review, it then goes to the police and Mayor John Tory. He claims to be an honest man, and he is privy to the review audio tapes. He knows the predictions are correct. He went to Ryerson. He met with Ramona. And all of them confirm everything I'm saying. And the mayor is on the board of Rogers, a media production company. And the CEO of Rogers is a man named Tony Staffieri. He is also the chair of Ryerson University. And the chair can order hearings into what I'm talking about and cross-examine these women in public. So I told Mayor Tory, John Tory, these people are all in Toronto, have Tony Staffieri order the hearings at Ryerson. Like, why are they all just sitting on this and nobody does anything? And then the other witnesses, the chief of police, Byron Demke, knows exactly what I'm talking about. and they won't.
The thing is, Albert, you can say that you can force people to speak, but if they don't want to speak, they're not going to speak. So it sounds like what you're saying is that this woman, Colleen, is just selfish, that she can save the world, that she has the cure for cancer, she has the ability to create free energy, but she would rather just teach at some university and humanity be damned. Wow. This is a very selfish person that you're describing there. Unfortunately, you, with your remote viewing and whatever friendship you have with her, she never shared the secret with you, because it seems like if you had that to cure cancer and the secret for free energy, that you would be more than happy to share it with the world. So is that what you're saying? That she's basically, I don't want to say a selfish cunt, but she sure as hell sounds like it.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head again. Exactly, a selfish cunt. But like I said, Robin Dula did get a confession out of her that exists, and then there are witnesses to this. Ramona Pringo's a witness. She was there when Robin questioned Colleen, and not only that, the telepathy transfers.
Let's move on, because selfish cunts are going to stay selfish cunts, and there's nothing you could do about that. That's why the world is just full of divorce and men that are turning gay. So, I guess before we get the free energy, we need women to stop being selfish cunts. Of course, I'm not painting with the broad brush, just like it's, of course, not the Jews. It's not all women. So if there's any women listening, please realize I love women, and it seems like you love women too. If not, you and I would be remote viewing the hell out of each other right now if we were gay. So obviously we're not gay, and I'm not going to remote view with you, so that's cool. All right, so then listen, let's move on to something else, because really this Colleen and Ramona, I'm getting sick of them already. And all these reporters and all that stuff. It seems like that's not going to go anywhere. And my recommendation to you is to just let that go, because nobody's going to do anything. You're going to drive yourself crazy trying to force these people to talk. And I think the more you want them to talk, the more they're going to just say, you know what, go after yourself. So let's talk more about you. Like, when did you find out that you had this talent, if you call it a talent, because it sounds kind of like a curse almost to live with this?
Born with it, knowing child. You're not a tabula rasa, blank slate. As a born psychic, and knew, at some point I would have to meet with Swann, and we should do something with this. But the other best evidence is the review audio tapes, and Bigelow has the textbook from Apollo 14 that is on 0-point energy. But again, even worse than Colleen. I think this would be a reason why Colleen clams up, is because she's afraid of people like Alexander who want to oppress this kind of information. But yeah, we can move on from that. So
Alexander works for the Pentagon.
Right.
Yeah, the Pentagon is super evil. So are you noticing that our government, the U.S. government, has been taken over by, would you say they're demons, or would you say, as Dustin Nemos calls them, Jews?
Yeah, they're demons. But like I said, they need a human person to work through. They need their minions in place. I don't know if Rockefeller is Jewish or not, but Rockefeller is one of them. He's now deceased, and they replace him with someone else. But Devil is God of this world. He's not lost in outer space. He's here with his boots on the ground, and he owns the whole ball of wax. Hollywood, the government, the university, the reporters. When they wanted something done, he tells Rockefeller what to do, and then Rockefeller starts making phone calls to the toadies, the editor of Time magazine, the Ted Kennedy, and then they move, and it gets done. So yeah, there's the 1/3 that are fallen are here. They're demons, the lizard people, the reptilian shapeshifters. But like I said, it seems to be kind of hands off, and this seems to be one of their weaknesses. They always work through a human agent. Moses, write the Bible so you can create me. God talking to Moses. And that's consistently, they're consistently tapping a human person. Put off reverse engineers the 0-point energy. Even if Alexander is on the other planet and he knows all about this, they don't just dump it on us. I don't know if it's a rule they're following or it's like an unwritten rule, or this is just what Satan and Jesus agreed to. They work through a human agent. Put off.
That's interesting. I've never heard this theory before, but it makes a lot of sense. So the reason why Lucifer is failing in his attempt to, I don't know, destroy mankind and take all of our souls is because he keeps hiring human beings. And it turns out that human beings are just, for the most part, lazy sacks of shit, you know? So, yeah, we are just a bunch of unmotivated fuckheads, and Lucifer hasn't figured that out yet. That's amazing. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Because if you want the job done, why doesn't Lucifer just do it himself with his demons that are here? They could probably do a much better job. So what the hell are they doing? Outsourcing this evil to humans who are pretty good. I mean, I've met some evil people, Fauci, Oprah Winfrey. These people are evil on a whole nother level, but they're not as evil as Lucifer, the demons. So what is, well, you already said it. Lucifer's busy watching over everybody. That's a big job. And he's coming down, hanging out at the basement of the White House, and making phone calls and stuff like that. That's so basically he's kind of like God, because God sees everything too.
Right. Well, and that's
yeah.
That would be our other out. Jesus is God, and he's at the edge of the universe. There's an event horizon. You don't actually see him face to face, but you get like a 10-minute meeting with him when you're deceased and waiting to reincarnate somewhere. And he has a plan for your life. But if you wanted predictions, Revelations is the best thing to go by. So the war in the Mideast will escalate. They should rebuild the third temple, and the Antichrist comes on the scene. But the mark of the beast means you lose your soul. It's better to be beheaded. But that's like COVID was like a trial run. And there's a movie 2073. Here's predictions. In China, they already have the social credit score, and they're always presented as something being good for us. So Elon Musk, he's well there to implement Mark of the Beast, and they're going to pattern what China did. They have facial recognition cameras all over the place. Your social credit score comes up. The police have the license plate reader, and they're trying to get the Mark of the Beast on you. And Musk will say, oh, well, the implant is great because it helps disabled people. If you're paralyzed, you can walk. You lose your key fob, you just wave your hand and the door opens and lets you in. But it's they're the oligarchs get in their position because they're part of that vast Luciferian conspiracy, and Lucifer's telling, okay, this is the plan, this is what we're doing, and then he needs guys like Musk there to implement it and execute it.
I have a question for you. And this is a serious question. I know sometimes people listen to the show and they go, my God, this guy asked the weirdest question. But think about this. You know that these guys like Elon and stuff and Jeffrey Epstein, they've got like perverted minds, right? And they've got the technology. And now you're telling me about this remote viewing kind of being like a sexual experience with the chakras and all that stuff. You think they would, now they're putting like a nanotech in our hands. So like you said, if you forget your key fob, you could just like open the door with your hands or pay for things with your hands, Mark of the Beast. Don't you think that these guys are also thinking about putting something like nanotech in a guy's penis or a woman's vagina to somehow, like, I don't know, enhance the sexual experience or something, or I don't know. I know that if I was Elon Musk and I was getting bored with putting chips in people's brains, naturally I'd be like, let's see what happens if you put it in somebody's penis or vagina. How do you think that's going to work? And I'm pretty sure they're already working on it. Do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, that's the science fiction writers have been warning about that. William Gibson, a neuromancer. So yeah, the world's oldest profession. Yeah, they already have like the sex butts out. You can buy in Japan, and they will moan and groan and actually have the orgasm, and they're making it as close to a woman as possible. And you could already buy them in Japan. So they're definitely going to go in that direction as well, where they would legalize prostitution with the AI sex butts. And
They've
you
done
know,
that in,
it's a dystopian future though we're looking at.
did you know that in Australia they already have a robot whorehouse? That's true.
Yeah, yeah,
Did you know that?
yeah,
What's
yeah,
interesting about, and the reason why men are actually now marrying women robots, they've given citizenship to robots in, I think, Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. One of those countries have said that those people can be considered citizens. Well, robots. And also, I think what's happening, like in Japan, men are starting to marry robots because, like you said, these women, their flesh feels like real flesh. They moan and groan, they have orgasms. But the only thing is, they don't talk back to you. They don't have periods. They don't nag, and they'll make you a sandwich without
yeah,
any complaints. So
yeah,
it's interesting. I think you're right. I think we're moving towards that because most men really don't want to deal with that, and women have really kind of, unfortunately, gotten themselves out of the market because some of them, not all of them, have made themselves so annoying that men are like, you know what, fuck that. I'm just going to marry a robot.
yeah, yeah. You could give it an AI brain and it will keep you company. But yeah, we're getting hit with the double whammy because a lot of men are incels. So like incel was a major zeitgeist where yeah, they can prefer the robots. And then there's the leap in AI where the robot is, you practically can't tell it better than the human. It has the same body temperature, it has hair, and it's compliant. It will, you know, obey. You can program it to suit your personality. But
Can
yeah,
you define can you define incel for those in the audience who are not aware of what an incel is?
oh well, it's like men who want to get married but can't get a date. So involuntary celibate, and
Oh, okay.
Uh, that was one of the things in the predictions. And the Toronto police knew that Alex Manassin was going to rent a van and run over women on Yonge Street. And that's one of the things they're frantically trying to hide, to hide that they're this negligent, that you could I directly told them he's renting a van, he's going to run over women. And the chief of police says, we don't care, don't stop warning us about this. And then, like I said, the
So,
review proved everything I'm saying, and then they go and censor it.
wow. So incels have such a lack of interpersonal skills, and in particular with women. They're not what the Hispanics are called rico suave, or like the blackies would say, pimps. So they don't have good like talking with women and hitting on them, and so they end up getting angry and run them over. Yeah, or marry robots. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not good. It's
no.
dangerous for women.
No, and
So
then another.
what advice do you have for women then? Because this is more of a danger for women. They could be walking down the street, and because they didn't give a guy their phone number or their Facebook address, they could get run over now.
Well, yeah, it should be a problem for women as well. We're getting hit with the double whammy every time. Like the global homo agenda is a massive thing that everyone has bought into, and the feminist movement as well. So like women were sold the bill of goods that a career is better than having children. Yeah, most of the women at Ryerson were feminist, and they were very pro global homo agenda. They want gay marriage, and then everyone caved into it. Like the conservative the conservative party should
Yeah,
be against it, and therefore it's it,
yeah. Wow. How did you fight the global homo? Because quite frankly, people may not realize this, but I'm sure as hell seeing it. You're quite the ladies' man. I mean, you've got 5 chicks in a room with you doing some Kundalini stuff. You know, that's pretty impressive. You are quite the ladies' man. But so you totally went the opposite way of global homo. Uh, how did you manage to avoid this global homo thing?
um well, yeah, part of it, I said, it's like from reading the literature, and I spent a lot of time listening to the Art Bell show, and then you do the little bits of information you could keep building on. But like I said, I was born with psychic ability, and then I just kept you know, trying to develop it. But so That really would be the next step forward. And like that part with the telepathy, it's transferable. Once Colleen had it, then it spread to Ramona, and they end up turning it off, but it would transfer to other people. So the way I see it is it's the next step forward in human evolution. So like now Swann is deceased, but he's trying to reincarnate on the other planet, the level above human. And at least they're giving him an out. And like I said, if he passes the Bible test, he could reincarnate there instead of coming back to New York. And the one question that they will ask you is, who did you help? So if you go through again the Bible, like I don't want to keep bashing the Bible, but it's in there if you understand what the overall message is that they're trying to say.
What is it?
Well, you are your brother's keeper after all. They will ask you, who did you help? That's what they're looking at. They're looking at your empathy and your compassion. They don't want to reincarnate you on the other planet if you're going to mess it up for them. If you're going to, be a lowlife and, cheat, lie, and steal, then your karma will send you back to a hellhole like New York City.
Hey, I don't know how familiar you are with the Freemasons, but I've met some Freemasons and they've shared information with me because they think I'm a Freemason too. It's funny, people think I'm a CIA, they think I'm all sorts of things. They end up telling me stuff. So this Freemason was telling me that the concept of a human is created, I think, I'm probably messing this up. We go from the concept of the human on the moon, no, on Mars, and then we go to the sun, where the consciousness of the human becomes, and then we go to the moon, where we take the body form, and then we come to Earth, where we are, like you're saying, reincarnated to go through these experiences, and then after this we go to Jupiter. And Jupiter is where, and then somehow we have something to do with Saturn too. All I know is the Freemasons apparently know all this stuff, and they shared it with me, and I forgot it. I put it on a podcast when it was fresh in my mind. Do you know any of that stuff? Am I off?
Yeah, no, that's what they're trying to convey in the literature. The Kabbalah Center is very, very close to being accurate as well too. They talk about the person being fractured, and the Hindu religion as well. Your karma and your dharma. So your past lives, you're destined to meet the same people, and there's some kind of plan for your life. And before you're born, they give you a blank piece of paper, and they say plan your next life. And then those things that you write down, that's like set in stone, and that's going to be your destiny. And those things will happen. But eventually, I think the goal is that every human becomes an angel. Like every Christian is an angel and saint. So like I said, the junk DNA is mutating. Instead of being a double helix, it should be in the form of the Star of David. And then you would be in, ascension, your glorified body. You would be an angel. So I think,
When you say Star of David, isn't that the Star of Remphan, as above, so below? And are you saying that because Lucifer is the god of this realm, and so that's why Star of Remphan? A lot of people say it's Star of David, or the Seal of Solomon, but that's actually not true. It's Remphan. It's evil. Is that why you said that? And why did you call it the Star of David?
Well, so the devil is a counterfeit. Everything that God created, the Satan will counterfeit. So the humans are evolving to be an angel. I think that's the goal. That's why you go through all these different reincarnations. From Earth, you could reincarnate on the other planet, and you would be, like a demigod. Your psychic abilities will be manifested. But I think the devil will always counterfeit everything that God created. So you have the Star of Rephaim, which, Satan will try to lead you down the wrong rabbit hole and take your soul into hell. It's a battle for the soul of man, like a spiritual warfare, like a intergalactic battle. But and then The right path is Jesus. But this is where the Christian church gets everything all wrong. Jesus is psychic. How are they missing all the things he says in there? John is, Elijah. You could reproduce the miracles. He walks on water, and he keeps saying, you are gods. Why didn't no one tell you this? And unfortunately, this is the same battle the remote viewing program had. As soon as Swann was saying, okay, I have some psychic ability, it looks like it is innate to the human species. And then right away they accuse him of being the devil and being evil and being left-handed. But at the same time, if you understand the overall message of the Bible, the whole thing Jesus is talking about all the time is that the human species is psychic. And you're trying to evolve to be an angel. And then sort of one verse in the Bible, all Christians are angels and saints. So, and then like I said, if you go to the Kabbalah Center, they would talk about the same thing. Like it is reincarnation. You're carrying karma from past lives. You have some sort of mission in your life of something you have to work out. And then you can go a level above human once, you pass those lessons or evolve, and it's all the time. It's always looking to evolve compassion, empathy, to be a good person. So
let me ask you, you said you've been to the Kabbalah Center. Are you like Trump, someone who converted from Christianity to Judaism, or no?
Well, no, I would be Christian, like a Bible-believing Christian, but I'd be very on the esoteric side. And the place where they were most talking about that is the Kabbalah Center, because you go to the Catholic Church, they just have the dogma, and you're not learning anything. And if they do know anything about the correct doctrine, they're keeping it secret. Like that would be one mission in life, is how would you get the Pope to correct the doctrine to say it's reincarnation? And there's no, I think the Pope would know this, but they're not going to admit, well, we've been wrong the last 2,000 years and we've been teaching people the wrong doctrine. Yeah, you should focus on psychic ability and how to increase your empathy, because you're going to keep reincarnating until you do that. And the Pope just isn't, even when he gave his 72 apologies, they're not going to correct the doctrine to say, yeah, they had it wrong. The Kabbalah Center is more right because they actually said reincarnation, and the Hindus have it right because they understand it's reincarnation. The Dalai Lama understands it's reincarnation, and once you have that correct doctrine, then you can build on your empathy. Yes, developing telepathy would be a good goal. Stop putting a negative satanic light on it. The level above human, everyone there had telepathy. It is a step forward in evolution, and it's the birthright of the human species, and that's the direction we have to go in. And like I said earlier, like Western material medica, like the Orthodox science, they just look at you like you're crazy, and they don't want to. Oh, you can reproduce the miracles. Oh, we don't want to know anything about this. Don't come back again. We don't want to. We don't want anything to do with it. And for their cure for cancer just makes it worse. They're blasting you with radiation and cutting off your limbs and things like that. But if people realized you could reproduce the miracles, that whole field of parapsychology would open way up. And we have like maybe two parapsychologists in the world, like Dean Radin and Michael Persinger. And Persinger is now also deceased. So we have Dean Radin. And they're just like, their experiments are always these low functioning, sort of low level kind of things. Like he talks about intentional chocolate. Like they had the Dalai Lama pray over cocoa, and then they made that into chocolate. And then they asked people in a blind taste test which chocolate they like better, and they prefer the one the Dalai Lama prayed over. So that's the sort of parapsychology Dean Radin is doing. But you tell them, well, you should work on turning on telepathy, on making the Kundalini rise and turn on your chakras. You should strength test Halen, and then they just run away and nobody does anything about it. But
well, that's interesting that you say that, because the other day I had guests on my show, and they were talking about, it was Dustin Nemos was talking to Ryan Velli, and Ryan Velli was talking about the Kundalini and about yoga, And Justin Emo said that that stuff is of the devil, that it's satanic.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's the low functioning state where we are now. The earth, New York City is hell. It's New York City that burns if you read Revelations closely. So when they're going to accuse you of bad things when you're telling them the correct thing. But like I said, my proof that it's a good thing is that the level above human, they have developed psychic abilities. Everyone there had telepathy. So that would mean the step forward is to develop psychic ability. And that's, like I'm saying, as Swann is deceased now, he's trying to get born on that planet because it's better there than here. They have flying cars, free energy. He doesn't have to worry about how he's going to pay his rent, and they've gotten rid of money. It's like, a Star Trek, The Next Generation, a golden age. And if you end up in New York, you're back in hell. It's his problem how he pays the rent. No one cares if you're homeless. No one helped him at all. Then he's trying to tell people about psychic ability, and they accuse him right away of being the devil, and he can't win.
Can you help the audience? We in the last minutes that we have, can you and take your time with this, because I know that it may not be something that you can learn with the snap of a finger. But how can we increase our psychic abilities so that we can make this a better world? Because right now we need to do something fast, because there's just too much hate and negativity in this world. So can you help us?
Well, one of the things is to read the literature. So there's a massive amounts of literature out there, and then what they agree on that would be correct. And all of them will say, "Be still." If you be still, your midbrain will stop if you're able to get to that level of silence, and then your frontal lobes will kick in, and then you make that connection to the matrix. And like this was at Michael Persinger's lab where they put on the Skidoo helmet. They tested Ingo Swann, and that's exactly what was happening. He would go into an altered state of being silent. You stop the chattering monkey in your brain that's always talking about your thoughts and your past mistakes, your ego, and then your frontal lobes will turn on and go into alpha waves, and then you're in this altered state where it's Christ consciousness. Your imagination can become real. You can reproduce the miracles. If you keep going high enough, you're at a state of Christ consciousness where you can walk on water, raise the dead, heal the sick, and that's a frontal lobe activity. And you're making connections with your higher self, which is in outer space, and you have those guardian angels. The good news is Jesus is God after all, and he will the guardian angels exist. Like only 1/3 are fallen, so 2/3 are not fallen, and that's the side you want to get on, and they will work with you and help you. Like we didn't get into this, but the dark side of the moon was a hostile reptilian shapeshifter base. They came down and strangled Edgar Mitchell's general at NASA. Edgar Mitchell also knew about 9/11. He tells this general, from the dark side of the moon, a reptilian shapeshifter comes down, strangles that person, morphs into him, puts his shirt on, and goes to work for him the next day. And Edgar Mitchell couldn't tell the difference. It's not the same person. And then he looks the same, he sounds the same, and he's a lizard person that can shapeshift. And they work for Lucifer. The Bible is correct. And once people realize they have this kind of psychic ability, there'd be a whole resurgence in the Bible. The people will be going crazy to try to find Jesus. And that's one of the things they're trying to oppress and keep secret from you. It's a battle for the soul of man, and the vast Luciferian conspiracy has all the tentacles of the octopus at work to keep you drunk, keep you homeless, keep you oppressed, keep you a slave. And then it gets worse, because in Revelation it says not everyone is saved. He's going to save the Christians who are Bible believing and kept the faith. But then he says hell is created for all these. Not everyone is saved. Then all the people he wipes out, he sends into the unquenchable fire. It's New York City that burns. And if you pay attention to, the world events, everything revolves around Israel. If they rebuild the third temple, then things will really kick off, because then the Antichrist should come on the scene. And everything they're doing is to prepare for the Antichrist system. And the mark of the beast will mean you lose your soul. If you take that, you're going into hell and you've lost. So it's better, your last chance, it's better to be beheaded. So once people understand this spiritual warfare that's going on, there would be a whole revival in the Bible, and people going crazy asking their pastor, how do they get saved? Do they need to be baptized? And why are all these Christian pastors not reproducing the miracles? Why are they not, in the hospital curing people, walking on water, raise the dead, and these sort of things? Like these televangelists will have a lot to answer for. Is like, why am I the only one getting these results? Other people get these results, and then nothing happens. Like they should all be reproducing the miracles. And telepathy would be a global phenomenon that would spread around the whole world, and everyone would then have telepathy. Like it transfers. This was unfortunately when Colleen was there, instead of spreading it to everyone, they shut it down. But I'm still saying what would prove what I'm saying, no matter how crazy it sounds, is voir dire those 5 women from Ryerson. The review audio tapes already did that, and they give the exact same account as mine. And then the police are so low functioning, they would rather hide their negligence than evolve humanity to a golden age. So yeah.
And I've heard what you said as well about the telepathy and us as humans having devolved, because back in the day, before the written word and before spoken language and spell casting, we used to, as humans, be able to communicate and live in harmony just through consciousness. And there is a level of consciousness that exists throughout our existence right now, but they're keeping us at such a low frequency that the consciousness is more consumed with pornography, with violence, with materialism, with greed, and with division. So, yeah, we have to strive to be better humans, knowing that there's entities amongst us that are not human and that are working towards stealing our souls and our energy, the loosh, which is acquired through fear, negativity, and low vibrations. Wow, Albert,
yeah, exactly right. That's
really,
the exact right summary.
you really blew my mind. I learned a lot. I'm sure the people that are still listening are probably wondering what the hell they just heard. You may want to listen to this again and take it all in. And I encourage people to download these shows and share them with your family and friends, because pretty soon the internet will be going down and they will try to wipe all this information from us because they don't want us to know this important stuff. You may not believe everything and you may scoff at it, but you'd be surprised. There's always nuggets of truth in everything that the guests that come on this show say. And that's why I appreciate having an open mind and being a critical thinker. Albert, is there any website or anywhere where people can go to find your work? Is there anything that you would like to, like, do you have any merchandise or anything, any books that you would like to promote?
No, I'm not selling anything, but I have an article online on UFO Digest. If you go to ufodigest.com and then you put my name, Albert, you'd have to put my last name, Venczel, Venczel. And one of my main articles, it's called Penetration Exposed. And that explains what really happened. Swann and Mitchell made contact on Apollo 14, the ESP experiment. A textbook on zero-point energy goes to Puthoff and Vallée at SRI. They reverse engineer the technology. It's working now, and it's being suppressed by Alexander and Bigelow. And also another thread that weaves through there is that Swann did future see 9/11 and warned about it. And it's the same suspect. Alexander is one of the people who implemented and executed 9/11. They should hang for treason for that. And one of our biggest problems is there's no good guys. No one does anything about this at all. I phoned the FBI, gave them this information. They just hang up the phone on me and know nothing. The Toronto police had all these warnings. They knew about 9/11, and they, like I said, they would rather hide their negligence than allow humanity to go into a golden age. And my last thing, like I said, what keeps me going is that the 0 point energy is going to break. It's bound to happen. It's just a matter of time. Higher powers are involved. Jesus is God. He has a plan we're not privy to, and part of that plan is that the 0 point energy will break. Who abducted Colleen? That spaceship, the occupant was Gabriel. Gabriel was driving the spaceship. She wouldn't do that with no fruitage. So they have a plan of how they're going to break it. We're just not privy to it. And then the best advice, well, you already gave it in your summary, is as cliche as it sounds, it's to find Jesus. You have to find Jesus. Get a King James Bible and try to understand what's going on in there. It is a battle for the soul of man. Lucifer is not lost in outer space. He's here now with his boots on the ground. And yeah, they're trying to take your soul into hell. If people realize this, there'd be a whole revival in Christianity, and people, losing their mind to find how do you get saved. So, but wow. And then the final.
Yeah, go for it. The final one, yeah.
Well, I still think there's hope that Ryerson will convene because, like I said, I have that one inside track. Tony Staffieri is on the same board as Mayor John Tory, who is one of my honest witnesses. And Staffieri is the chair of Ryerson. He's also the CEO of Rogers. So, and they're looking at this now in a serious way. They've cross-examined Robin Doolittle, and Staffieri can order hearings at Ryerson, which would put those cross-examinations of these 5 women into the public domain and prove what I'm saying. And then the second best evidence, the review has audio tapes and already went and did this. They cross-examined Ryerson, and they have this on audio tape. And then Epstein went and censored the report, and the chief of police is just like, yeah, we're going to go along with the cover-up. But anyway, the witnesses are there. It's just a matter of trying to pin them down. If it's either a documentary producer or through some sort of legal channel, having hearings or public inquiry. And as I said, this information is online on UFO Digest. But also while Arrow is going on, I sent it to Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Tim Burchett, all the same information we just talked about today. Arrow has all of it. They know where Colleen is. They could go and get a confession out of her right now today. And Senator Gillibrand takes all the information. They said they have it on file, and then nothing happens. And the original textbook from Apollo 14, Robert Bigelow has it. He could produce that and show it to the whole world. Never mind Colleen, Bigelow has a textbook from the other planet. And the main point, the whole reason why I'm doing these interviews, 0 point energy is working. It's working right now, and they don't want to give it to us. They're oppressing it.
They're actually using it in the underground tunnels and the bunkers. So they are using that 0 point energy, but they're keeping it for themselves. Exactly. I appreciate and I admire your tenacity, Albert. You, in the face of all sorts of ridicule and in the face of people just not wanting to believe your story, you continue. And that's why at the end of every show, I say, united we stand, divided we fall. Never give up. Never surrender.
Exactly.
Keep shining. Live.
Yeah, it's a great service you're doing, letting people get their information out. You'll see. Eventually, it will break. It's going to break. You'll see when it does.
I agree, and I think it's going to happen very soon. I think that's what they're guiding us towards right now. Flow.